What's up, goaltenders and goaltending fans? Welcome to the Net Perspective, episode 6 from the-rink.com, where we talk about all things goaltending. I am Jeff Osborne, aka Gatekeeper and Puck and Hustle on social media. And over in this other window, I have my goaltending buddy of many years, Pete Fricano. Between us, we have over 50 years of playing, coaching experience in the crease. We may be right, we may be wrong, but we're going to give you an honest perspective of the least understood position in probably all of sports. Well, let's get right into things a little bit. Pete, how you been, man? What have you been up to?
Been good, been busy. I never thought I'd be doing some of the things that I'm doing right now. That's for
Well,
sure.
tell us more. Tell us what you've been doing, man. I mean, Mr. Play-by-Play, Mr. Fancy Pants.
Well, it's so last episode I think we did was in October, right? And right about then, I was still talking to a team in the Federal Prospects Hockey League, the FPHL, the Monroe Moccasins, and we're dabbling. And next thing you know, boom, yeah, officially the color commentator for the Monroe Moccasins. So it's been great. We've been the season started mid-October, and we're headed toward the end of the season. Our last game's the 12th of April. So the end of the season's fast approaching. Trade deadline just ended on Friday. I believe it's Friday. Yeah, last Friday. And I'm actually headed on the road tomorrow to Athens, Georgia for a 3-game series against the Athens Rock Lobsters. Yeah, because they've got the big B-52s influence over there, and they're Rock Lobsters. It's great. For a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday game. And then the wife and I are going to hang out there maybe for another day or two and just kind of sightsee and chill out. It's right on the campus of the University of Georgia Bulldogs. And yeah, so that's what I've been doing. A lot of podcasting stuff. It's a really cool experience. The fans up there are amazing. And real quick with us, I mean, we're sitting in the 6th spot in the league. The top 5 make the playoffs in each conference. There's 2 conferences, the Empire and the Continental, or in the Continental. And 1, 2, and 3 are a lock, and 4 and 5 do a play-in. And our fans are absolutely amazing. I couldn't ask for a greater place to do some work. We're averaging over 4,700 a night. I think our barn holds like 53. We've had several sellouts this year. It's been amazing. We're leading the league in attendance, so not bad for an expansion team. And those are my people
in New Orleans, yeah.
Well,
in the South, no less.
Yeah, it's actually so Monroe's like 4.5 hours north of New Orleans. So there's games that I do attend in Monroe, and there's a few that I've gone out of town, like Danville, Illinois, and in your neck of the woods.
In your old neck of the woods.
Yeah, right. It's always fun to come back because I fly into Midway and then take my dad because we played just outside of Detroit a couple times against the Motor City Rockers. So Dad comes with, and it's cool. And but yeah, so there's games I do remote right here from the house. They just patch me in, and we're the only team in the league doing it. It's awesome. We're doing some groundbreaking stuff, so I'm glad to be part of it.
That's awesome. What's the podcast you're doing? Plug it for everyone so they can add it.
So yeah, so there's 2 of them. So the one for the team is called Inside the Snake Pit. So that's what we call the Monroe Civic Center, the Snake Pit. So I kind of came up with the Inside the Snake Pit idea. And that's usually once a week till the end of the season. It may not be this week because we are on the road, so we might do something impromptu. I don't know. And I just got my own podcast out finally. Last week, or no, this past week with my first host, guest, Greg Hussey of the FPHL. He played in the SB also. And that's Inside the Blue Paint. And you see my little Twitter, the Blue Paint 40 is my X.
Yeah, and I actually also put you on the I tweeted all the links out and all that stuff, and you're included in there too. I tagged your account, so everyone everyone who follows me, add my boy Pete here.
Yeah, it was funny because it's I'm so used to having my broadcast partner, and we feed off of each other so well. And flying solo is like, oh man, I'm usually we don't do things scripted. Sometimes he likes to, and it's I like to fly by the seat of my pants. So it's like, just ask me questions. I'm quick with them,
Well, and as you know, with me, like I like to have a little bit of like just some ideas to be able to to shoot back and forth, because I like to also be able to, put some facts and stuff like with that. But like, I tried doing podcasts solo before and I hate it. For a while there, like I was just begging anybody to come on with me. When I was doing like on my other podcasts, like I have to have someone to talk to. I have to be able to riff off of somebody. I have to be able to get ideas off what's going on. So it's like, I completely understand what you're saying, man.
Yeah, the banter, it's great because there's games like you with my partner Joseph Furtado, and you can follow him at Joseph Furtado
Furtado and
TV.
Fricano. Furtado and Fricano.
And it's the funny thing. He's like my son, but he's like one of my best buddies. He's just a great kid. We really enjoy working together, and it's when you have a broadcast partner or a podcast partner and you work well together, it's so much fun because it's really not work, because like we said before, it's like two buddies sitting on a couch watching hockey and you got to explain it. Now, we've had a message this week that wasn't too favorable.
Well, we're not going to talk about that.
Yeah, we're probably not going to talk about that in depth.
Yeah.
But, however, I'll touch on it. But
yeah,
our podcast or our broadcasts aren't always for everybody. The minor league hockey scene is entertaining, but it's also informative. And being in the South, you really don't have that hockey background, right? So you have to present it, I guess, in a fun way. So we're good cop, bad cop. You know which one?
Yeah.
I am. So
I've had to deal with definitely with my own bunch of haters over the years. I mean, my original podcast, the Puck and Hostile Shoutcast, we had tons of haters who hated that. And like with a social media account that's called Puck and Hostile, like I have to be able to like absorb that. But like, I totally understand, there's going to be the haters. There's always going to be the haters out there. And you know what? You can't let one small group speak for the entirety of the audience, because it's the loudest people who are always, the jerks or the biggest super fans. And then there's a lot of creamy filling in the middle, it's like Oreos. It's like an Oreo, you have the creamy filling of all the people that like you and like to listen to you, but they don't want to get involved. And then you have the enemies and the haters, and then you have the super fans. And those are the little thin edges on that. So,
and that makes the whole world go around type thing, right? You need all types of people, and it kind of be boring if it was one way or the other. But you know what? And what's cool is I always come up with the goofiest stuff. Man, I throw things in there like
shocking.
For example, you think. So like Scotty Koash, he is a Plainfield, Illinois native, and
that's my old stopping ground.
Yeah, and I was in Romeoville for a second too. So yeah, that's on my old hood. He played for the Joliet Jaguars for a while when he was a Ute.
Oh, the good old Joliet Jaguars.
When he was a Ute. So he scored. So we were in Motor City, just out in Fraser, Michigan, just outside of Detroit, and he scored. And what do I pull out? Koash me outside. How about that? And that's it. It's stuck. There's signs at the Civic Center that says "Koash me outside" or "Koash this." We had another one. There was a wraparound around the back of the net, and from our defenseman Kalle Koivu-Niemi, and the puck was actually sitting on the goal line. He came around the back of the net and smacked it in, and I just pulled out. And Koivu-Niemi came around the back like two trailer park girls going around the outside, and people were like, "I'm dead," But it's just those things that are they're little Easter eggs. It's like it's not for everybody. And if you don't like the broadcast, watch the other team's broadcast, and then you'll probably be back in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So there's that. So that's what
okay.
I got going on.
That's what you got. Yeah, you got a lot going on.
I got a lot going on.
Since we haven't really been able to record for quite a while, I mean, with all transparency, my kid plays travel hockey, and that takes up, and he's not old enough to drive himself to practice or anything like that. So like, I spend most of my time taking my kid to his hockey practices, and I stay and watch his hockey practices because I got to be honest with you, it is my favorite thing in the world to do. Sit there and watch my own kid play hockey. I just love it. Like it never gets old. I love doing it. Like it's cool. But that being said, the hat is not for the Chicago Blackhawks. This is for the Chicago Hawks Youth Organization, which is where my son plays. The 12U team this year had an exceptional year. They went through a little drought in the middle, but they ended up winning the Central States, their division, the Pee Wee Major division. They took first place in that. My son assisted on the game-winning goal with 3 seconds left in regulation. And so that was very exciting. And then they moved on to the A-High State playoffs, where they made it all the way to the championship game. And that's where things kind of ended. They took second place. They lost to a really tough team, the Chicago Jets. It was a close game, a 2-1 game. Like you can't ask for much more than that, except for if they could have won. But I mean, they fought really hard. So taking a first place in their conference and second place in state for AA, like that's amazing. I can't say enough about, the teams and the coaches and the organization. And we're going to talk, a little bit more about the goaltending in that organization, because I have some firsthand knowledge about it, the goaltending development in that organization. But Steve Popst is the hockey director there. And, just like every other guy, like he doesn't act like, he's too big for everybody. He's former Blackhawk, former coach of the Rockford Ice Hogs. Like he's been there. He's been in the show. He's played like NHL hockey, and he's coached AHL hockey. Like he knows a lot. He probably knows more than I'll ever know. And like, you can just walk right up to him. He's a great guy. He just really is. And like, we were so lucky to be part of that organization. It's been a great year. And it kind of like, satiates my little, my hockey need, because I haven't been podcasting on the Rinkcast, and, my staff is really doing a great job with that. They're, Andy Campbell and Sean Fitzgerald and Jimmy O'Malley and all my guys, all my writers, like they're doing such a good job that like, I almost feel guilty even thinking about jumping in on any of them, because they do such a good job by themselves. I don't want to screw it up for them. So like they've really been killing it. I'm proud as hell of those guys, and proud of the podcast and all that stuff. But I don't want to sit here and talk like, just general life. I mean, people are here to talk about goaltending stuff. And that's why we're here. You're a goalie, I'm a goalie. We want to talk about some goaltending stuff, and a lot has happened. Both in the NHL and outside the NHL. But as far as like one thing that's top of mind, and you brought it up, and I brought it, I planned on talking about it anyway, because it's top of mind, us both being from Chicago, us being goaltenders from Chicago, us following Chicago, is the Spencer Knight trade. I'm calling it the Spencer Knight trade because I'm not going to call it the Seth Jones trade. My boy Ray Napientek, he couldn't be happier that Seth Jones is out of town, or Seth Orr as he calls him, because everyone, there was a certain sect of people that was going on and on about Seth Jones like he was Bobby Orr, the next coming of Bobby Orr, which he isn't. But so anyway, the Blackhawks traded Seth Jones for Spencer Knight. My thoughts on this are, I can't believe they got him. I am so excited they got this guy. I've wanted the Blackhawks to have an opportunity to even get this guy. I realize they've got Adam Guyan, and they've got Drew Comesso and Arvid Soderblom, and now they no longer have Peter Mrazek, but they have Laurent Brossoit. But that being said, I don't know that any of those guys are necessarily of the pedigree of a Spencer Knight. I thought the Blackhawks wouldn't be able to afford him. I don't think, I thought they would have to give up a significant prospect, or many significant prospects, or a first-round draft pick for Spencer Knight to get him. And I didn't really want them to have to, they got some goalies, and do you really want to give up a first-round draft pick for Spencer Knight, who has had his ups and downs, but generally he's a good goalie? And to just have to give up Seth Jones and a fourth-round pick, and you get Spencer Knight and a first-round pick back, if you criticize that deal, like, you're out of your mind. It's just, honestly, you're out of your mind. It's a great deal for the Blackhawks. They get a young player. They get a future in the prospect. They get Seth Jones off their books. I know they're going to have to eat some salary on Seth Jones. I get it. That's fine. But the salary cap is going up so much these next couple of years. That's going to be a drop in the bucket. It doesn't matter. It's 5 years. That 5 years will be gone before you know it. So those are my quick thoughts on that. Pete, what do you got to say about this?
Yeah, the Hawks got a franchise goaltender for a used puck bag in a laundry basket. It's one of those things that was like, I'm sorry, we got him for what? And I'm like, well, okay, so I was real familiar with Spencer Knight, but if you're backing up Bob, you're not going to get a lot of playing time.
I mean, he
So
was
I
the
kind of
star of the USA, the IHF USA team. He was the star of that
yeah,
team. Like that's the reason he was he was drafted in the first round. You know.
yeah. I mean, if you want to dip back just a little bit, his first year at Boston College. I mean, 33 games played, a 197 goals against, and a 93 save percentage, 23-8-2, 5 shutouts. Okay, and then it just kind of gets better and consistent from there. I'm very happy with the goaltender because, as you well know, we've been in a really. I mean, Mrazek is okay. Yeah, I think he was a
He was
placeholder until they found
yeah.
something. He was a suitable. All right, well, we're not going anywhere, right? So now you've got a cornerstone with Bedard that you could build around that they're starting to. And then you've got a goaltender where you're like, all right, well, now we need a backup. And now we're pretty deep, I think, goaltender wise right now to where I don't think we'd go fishing for another goaltender for a backup next year.
No, there's no need. They've got too many still.
We're solid.
With,
that's a good
with
problem
Brossoit, with Brossoit, they're still, they've got too many. Drew Comesso is one of the hottest goalies in the AHL right now. So he's going to probably be next as far as like a backup goes. You still have Arvid Soderblom Soderblom if you still want to keep him around. He's been playing well this year. He's completely rebounded from what he was last year. He completely flipped the script, and I'm so glad because he seems like a good kid. And so they got him, and then Adam Guyan, who's been playing it. He's in college right now, but like he's going to be a couple of years maybe, and then he's going to be playing in the AHL, and then they've got 3 young, pretty good goalies. It's unbelievable. I can't believe that Bill Zito gave up Spencer Knight for a guy that the Blackhawks were just begging to get rid of.
And so now you're sitting there with this. So you've got goaltenders in the pipeline, goaltenders kind of all over. So not only do you like, oh well, we've got a couple guys that we can interchange here as a backup or possibly a starter, but we already got our starter now. We're good. But now you've got trade material. Now you've got some serious trade material. So now you've got a good bargaining chip. So you look the future is very bright. I mean, could we maybe, depending on the offseason moves, could we make the playoffs next year? Quite possibly. It just depends on what they do and how they do it. The following year, I would say
I won't go that far. I won't go that far because the amount of turnaround in points that they would have, just like last year, they would have had to have had a 40-point improvement from last year to this year to make the playoffs. It's going to be really close to that. 40 points is a big jump. That's like the second best ever in the NHL.
Yeah, that's half a season's points. I mean, that's and you said almost the same exact thing in October. I mean, his word for word verbatim, if I'm not mistaken. But and I was a little more optimistic. But man, we got what we got. It's the hand that we were dealt. And
they're going to be better. They're going to be better next year.
Oh, yeah.
They will be.
Well, you can't be worse. And now you got goaltending, so that question's out. We don't have to worry about that anymore.
You've got and now they've kind of switched over to like that youth movement. And I don't want to get into the whole team, but I mean, you got Artem Levshunov, Delmash. You got a lot of nice young defenders with Kevin Korchinski. Levshunov, I know there's a lot of haters out there who want to Demidov, but Levshunov is a good player. And if your future, top pairing it might be Levshunov and Korchinski, like that's not too bad. That's not too bad. Are they both going to are they going to both go to the Hall of Fame? Maybe not, but it could be a good first pairing for you.
Well, and here's the thing too. I mean, call me crazy, but some of this youth movement is kind of reminiscent of 2007, 8, 9 in a way, because then you had, Duncan Keith, and Brent Seabrook, and Patrick Sharp, and you had all the killer bees coming up from up there with Bickle and Boland, and it's just like, okay. Kane and Patrick, we got Taze, and it's just like, this is a whole different thing. And you remember the skate out music of Youth Gone Wild kind of resembles it again. You've got these guys in their early 20s, and we got a teenager still, but Man, it's exciting. It's something to look
Yeah.
forward to, and we'll see where that goes. It's like I said, can't get worse. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. And getting kind of back, pulling this back in, reeling it back in,
Really?
to Spencer Knight, like just watching him play, like that first game, I have not been that excited to see a Blackhawks goaltender since I was very excited about Robin Leonard. I really liked when Robin Leonard showed up, but before that, Corey Crawford. Like
Yeah.
I have, those are the two that was really excited to have around and see play. So like he moves so smooth. He seems unrattled. I just really love that he's here in Chicago. You're like, he's ours. Like they need to, sign him to a long-term deal, give him some security. Like I the future is bright in that for Chicago. And that's great because I don't know that overall, like even during the cup years, like Corey Crawford was good. And they had the year where Ray Emery was there. That was a good battery, but like they could have the potential of having something that rivals the Belfour and Dominic Hasek era if things shake out right for them. They really could. You know, as far as Crawford and Niemi, I mean, they weren't what they were. Crawford turned out to be way better than Niemi in the end. Niemi was a serviceable NHLer. You had like I said, the Ray Emery and Corey Crawford thing. That was kind of like no one expected that to happen. No one expected Ray Emery to step in and be such a great backup that, and he was, RIP to Razor. One of my favorite Blackhawk goalies. Yeah, so, not to stick too close on just Chicago goalies, but
yeah, but you know what? I'm going to echo that because I felt the same way. I was like, okay, I want to see what this kid's all about. And I was, after the first period, I was an instant fan. Like, it was like,
yeah,
dude, he sees the puck extremely well. His angles are great. His movement is smooth, very smooth, and very precise. Um, I mean, he watches that puck intensely. He's got a very serious poise about him. And yeah, no, he doesn't. He didn't get rattled the first two games because he really didn't give up much either. So,
yeah.
but he seems very mature at 23 and 22, 23. So yeah, and very much. The last goaltender I was excited for was Corey Crawford because for years we were told this is the goaltender of the future for the Blackhawks. And no Crawford, no Crawford. Then finally, pop, there he was, and we're like, oh, okay. Oh, okay. And it took him a second to get rolling, but he was rolling when he was really fine when he was moving out.
Yeah. Yeah, there's I have a very good story about the Corey Crawford situation in Chicago because I was one of his biggest. My brother can't stand him. My brother hated him, but I've been a Corey Crawford apologist for his entire career. I was a huge Corey Crawford fan. I defended him top to bottom from when before he played in the NHL when he was still in the AHL to when his career ended. Unfortunately, it was it ended quicker than he wanted it to. But I've got like a longer story to this, and I'm going to save it for. I'm going to kind of tease the audience and save it for a later podcast. I'm going to put it on our outline. We'll talk about it next podcast. So keep everybody coming back. Getting out of Chicago, moving out of Chicago. Something that I talked to you a little bit about was the in Colorado because we had a Colorado division over at the rink. My boy Brendan Vogt, he moved on to greener pastures, but Brendan was really great for us. He worked his butt off, and I can't say enough great things about him. But in that, I got to know and follow the Colorado Avalanche because of him and because of my boy Aaron Goldschmidt too, who actually also wrote for the rink from Colorado. And the entire staff as well. I don't want to, I don't want to leave any of them out, but we had a great staff. And unfortunately, we kind of had to disband because we didn't have anyone to run it. But they did a great job while they were here. But so the Colorado Avalanche did something that was pretty unheard of, especially in this day and age. The way you see, how they claim trades are so hard to do and all that stuff. The Avalanche came into the season and they had their goaltending tandem, and they were like, well, they weren't able to upgrade anything into the offseason or anything like that. So they're like, well, we're just going to roll into this next season, with the guys we had last year, pretty much. And they did poorly. Basically, it was their goaltending tandem of Georgiev and Justus Anunen. They were awful. And so they traded both of them, their starting and their backup goalie, for the Wood brothers. But Mackenzie Blackwood and the Woods, Mackenzie Blackwood and Scott Wedgwood. And it's worked. Like Mackenzie Blackwood is, he came from San Jose where they're awful. And he came to a team that can show him some support, and he's played really well there. And I think he's fit in really well. And the same with Wedgwood. Wedgwood's an older guy. He's 32. Like, he still has kind of like an real old hybrid style. Sometimes you'll see him stacking the pads, and I love that. Like, he wears a lot of black equipment, which I love. More black, because I love my black gear. Love my black gear. And so he wears, the black gear a lot. And like I said, I like myself a little bit of an old school goalie who's a little bit different. So, but yeah, they traded both of their goalies, and it works. Like, it's a lot of times those seem to like backfire when that happens. But I don't know. I don't know if you got any insight or any thoughts on that, but like, it was an interesting situation, and that's why I wanted to bring it up.
Well, that is interesting, and and it goes with kind of any of the professional leagues, even with ours. Once you're swapping out both your goaltenders, and not only do you have to get your players, especially as we know, our defensemen, you need to get in tune with your defensemen, and now you've got two goalies that have to learn their defense. Their defense kind of has to learn their style of play too now. So now you got a whole new kind of aura of what's going on your defensive end as a whole. So they lucked out with it. It worked for them. It could have gone the complete other way, but yeah, when you're coming from a team that doesn't have any support, I mean, they're sitting down there possibly in the number one draft pick race again, so in the lottery pick, now you got a team that's a contender. You got a team it's a whole new ball game. Now it gives you, it probably gave both the guys a whole new lease on life, basically, because now you've got more of a purpose to come to the rink. It's not like, you're still getting paid, but you're not just like, oh Jesus, I hope we win tonight. You're like, yeah, we got a damn good shot of winning tonight. We got Cale Makar, we got all these boys that are, we got some legitimacy. So it's good on them guys, and good for them for making it work.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Like, that's something that, like, down years down the road, I'm gonna have to bring it up on a podcast, and people are not going to believe that, like, a team who is as good as the Avalanche are traded both of their goalies in season, and it actually works. So that's pretty crazy.
Actually, I believe
so
San
shifting
Jose is leading right now in the lottery.
Yeah, right. They are.
Take a quick glance, because I had it written down the other day, and I'm like, at that time they had 43 points, and I think they beat the Hawks the other night too. So good for them. So they're I think the Hawks and Sharks will battle it out for number one again.
And like in the Mackenzie Blackwood situation, he went from the outhouse to the penthouse, going from like a last place team to a top team contender.
Yeah.
And Wedgwood, I think he came from.
It sucks when you go the opposite way, right? But
So it was the Predators. That's where Wedgwood came from. So, like, the Predators have been having a rough year. As far as, they were supposed to be better, but they weren't great either. So both these guys kind of went from the outhouse to the penthouse. And I think they're taking advantage of it. I mean, I'd be pretty pumped if I went from a team where I'm going to get hammered every night to, one of the top 5-ish teams in the NHL. So,
and you touched real quick with Nashville. What's going on with Soros? Is he looking to get out? Are they looking to get rid of him, or are they just sticking pat? Or I mean,
No, they're going to.
I
I think they're going to stand pat. Yeah, I think they're going to stand pat
I
with
would.
him. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
think they're going to
definitely
stand
would.
pat
I
with him.
mean, yeah, they've got nothing else to build. But yeah, you got to. He's pretty solid, so I would kind of watch out with that. But
I
yeah,
mean,
because I know
that's
in the
one of the
beginning of the
reasons.
season, it was like that. I think they were talking about it, but it wasn't really a big news. But
Well, that's one of the reasons that Askarov uh, wanted out of Predsville, because they had two goalies already, and there was no room. They had extended Saros, and they signed Wedgwood, and there wasn't going to be any playing time for him. So he has to be traded. He's another goalie I really love. I like him because he's a lefty, and I'm a lefty too. But that was a goalie that I wanted the Blackhawks. It was either Spencer Knight or Askarov that I wanted. I wish the Blackhawks could have got their hands on, and they actually got their hands on one of them. Askarov is going to be an excellent goaltender in the NHL. So like they've got their future starter or star out there in San Jose already, and then they got Macklin Celebrini, very similar to the Blackhawks. It's a little closer as far as the rebuild goes. They're kind of in the same level of the rebuilds, and they've got the same building blocks. They don't quite have the defense that the Blackhawks have, but I think they may have a couple more forwards than the Blackhawks have. So anyway, there's also been subjects, and it's not just goalie only. This is basically NHL only, of expansion, right? In the NHL. Things change, like it seems like on a minute-to-minute basis. Who would have thought 2 weeks before it happened that the NHL was going to, end up in Utah, and it happened like basically in 2 weeks. There's other, the NHL is doing well. Obviously, as evidence with the salary cap going up the way it is. They're making a ton of money, and they want to expand to bigger markets. There's a few markets out there that may be a bit unexpected, but have come up, coming in hot. The one, some of them, you have a little more insight on the actual expansion part of it. So I'm going to let you take it from here. But I just wanted to preface it with kind of that. So take us a little further in with this expansion stuff.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of talk, and lately things have been heating up for an expansion for 25, 26, even 26, 27, because some of these things take a little time. I mean, not only are you, the NHL's looking to expand to like 36 teams. So that's another 4 teams. So not only do you get 4 more NHL teams, but you're going to get 4 more AHL and 4 more ECHL teams. So those are going to, because you have to have your farm system. So now you're actually getting 12 more hockey teams scattered throughout the country. So that's a real thing. Names that have been passed around already have been Atlanta making another return. Personally, I don't think it's a great idea. You're going to go to the well for the 3rd time. I think maybe the Thrashers last time was wrong place, wrong time. But the funny thing is there's so much minor league hockey right now going on in Atlanta, in that Atlanta area-ish. Georgia, North Georgia, North Carolina is huge right now. There's things that are happening over in that little area that maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Kansas City was brought up, and that was a shock to me because I'm like, but they said, that's the one thing that they don't have. Obviously, they don't have an NBA team, and we're not watching it anyway. So that was a surprise to hear that. Houston's come up, and I'm going to tie that together with something else. I'm going to go back to that. Milwaukee was brought up, and I think that was just a kind of a laugher because I honestly do not think that Milwaukee could sustain an NHL team. Having the Admirals there and the Wolves and Chicago Blackhawks so close in proximity, could it be an interesting rivalry? Maybe. Will it work? I don't personally think so. Going to the well again with Arizona, I don't think they can get their act together in the state of Arizona to even pull this off. So I don't even.
I don't either.
And then they leave Quebec off the table, which I still think Quebec should come back. As much as right now we're having a real fun conflict with Canada, I
I don't know
think
what you're talking about, man.
I'm just, hey, I watch TV. I've seen some anthems get booed.
Yeah.
Neither here nor there, but it will be here soon.
Boo.
But still, Quebec. I think Quebec should get. I think they should come back, get the nerdy Nords back, and call it a day. Now we're gonna go back to the South because the Houston talk had heated up along with the New Orleans talk. Now the
Mhm.
interesting thing with Houston would be
New
there was
Orleans.
talk.
Did you say New Orleans?
That's nails on a chalkboard, man. It's New Orleans, babe. So, but yeah, so Houston would be interesting. However, I'm hearing out of the Houston camp that possibly the interest may be pulling back. Maybe. I've heard that from one of the sources. Now, New Orleans is fun because Kevin Weeks reported about 3 weeks ago that New Orleans was in the running for an expansion, and that's been some hot and heavy topic. And for him to come out and publicly and say that, coincidentally, and I'm going to be light with this because the ownership group that I'm very familiar with is involved with it in a capacity. So I guess one of the questions would be, the sustainability and all parts of the party believe, yeah, including myself, it can be sustainable here. Um, it's been very favorable, and the deputy commissioner, I believe, is the one that they had the meeting with, and they're really looking to push it. Do I think it'll happen? I'd say 90%, to be really honest, and it would have to be, in my opinion, and a more popular opinion, it would have to be a brand new facility here. It can't be where the Pelicans play at the Smoothie King Center. There's too much going on, too much politics. You need your own facility. So, and you also really need a municipal rink as well, because the kids see these players and they're playing, and you know as well as I that the youth program is where it starts, and that's starting right now with roller hockey's huge here, and we're trying to get that pushed as well. But being 8 minutes from downtown New Orleans, where I live, because I live just outside the city, ideal, absolutely ideal, and was definitely an interesting thing. And for that to come out of the blue, we were like, "Whoa!" Time out on the field, and then I don't know if it made it up to Chicago, but did you guys happen to see on the news when we had 11.9 inches of snow down here?
Yes,
Which was more than
we
you guys
saw.
had. Did you guys see the gentleman skating on Canal Street?
Yes, I did.
Okay, he did more for us in 15 seconds than we've been trying to do for 5 years down here. And
Yeah.
that quote comes from one of my friends with the New Orleans hockey group. I'm part of the board. I think I'm part of the board with that now. That's the roller hockey guys getting the stuff going and boots on the ground type kids. But yeah, he's an FPHL player. His name is Jay Krupp, and thank God his girlfriend, fiance, whatever she may be, said, "Hey, you got your skates in the car. Why don't you go do this?" And
Yeah. It's a brilliant idea.
how cool is that to even bring that to the forefront? So I think that totally helped. Like, hey, look at skating down to Main Street. That's like Michigan Avenue freezing over and people skating down Michigan Avenue. That's the equivalent of Canal Street, New Orleans. So, expansion's could be exciting. It's gonna be wait and see. It's money talks, right? I mean, at any point, it's your group of investors and what you have. So, something to keep an eye on. And I really think the NHL is going to do something in the next couple of years, but I think realistically, next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. I'm disappointed that I can see where they're coming from with the Atlanta thing. It's a huge market, but it hasn't worked there twice. You could say it's the management's fault. You could blame whatever, but fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 3 times, right?
Yeah.
Like there's been too many problems. I mean, I like the Georgia area. Friends of ours who are big hockey players with Chicago Hawks, the Jacobs family are moving down to the Atlanta, Georgia area. And they're going to play down there in their youth programs. And from what I hear, their youth programs are really growing down in that area. And there's an interest in the game. So like, I hope so. I hope all these teams, like as much as I liked Seattle, and I love Seattle, they're the team. I give all their swag. I love Seattle. I love the town. I love the team. I love everything about it. They're right up there with the Blackhawks, neck and neck as far as I go. But like, I want the NHL to succeed. I want these teams to succeed. I didn't want Arizona to fail, but we knew they were going to fail. Like, don't go back to Arizona because it was a shit show there. Like, they couldn't get their stuff together. They can't get they can't get their arena stuff together out there. They just have problems with this. Like, go somewhere else first before you go back to where you failed. Like, the Quebec thing was a little bit different because that was more of an ownership thing than they're going to support hockey in Quebec. They will support any kind of hockey you put in Quebec. Like, just get there somehow. Even if it has to be a relocation, that's fine. If you're going to relocate somebody there, that's fine too. But like the Milwaukee thing, I don't know. I agree with you on that one.
I was like, no, we're not. Why would you entertain that? No.
Yeah.
And that may have came from another podcast too, because there's been a lot of input on some different ones, and I'll dabble and check and see what people are talking about. And I'm like,
yeah,
man, some of these guys are way, because there's one from the New Orleans ones, and they said something, and I chimed in, and I'm like, you guys are way off. Like, it's because I do know things, I just can't say things. But it was one of those things where I was like, no, it's not entirely. But from my perspective, being down here, it's the help of the Florida teams, their success in the last almost decade has really helped the South kind of build back up with that. So that's what I'm kind of seeing. And minor league hockey is getting huge down here, just huge, and that's just sparking more interest. So it's great for all sport, and especially for these goalies. Like, even as we tie the goaltending thing back in, it's a great developmental, because even with our league, the Fed, we've got a lot of ACHA players are coming in, Div 3, a lot of junior kids are coming. Null kids, we got it all. It's a really good melting pot, and you've got rehab stint guys and former NHL players and all kinds of stuff. You never know what you're going to get. And our Cody Karpinski from from Darien is on the Monroe Moccasins right now. So yeah, it's a great hotbed to build those goalies up, to move them up to where they got to go.
Yeah, for sure. Cody Karpinski from goalieparts.com. He worked in the pro shop there, and he helped out with the Chicago Hawks. So yeah, our boy Cody.
Yeah, good dude. I'll see him tomorrow. So yeah, I'll give him a shout and tell him we give him and the and Goalie Parts is so great, man. That's just like a toy store. You walk in there and you're just like, you lose your mind because you're like, I don't even know what I was looking for, but I think I found it.
I was in there today. Dennis Kasperowitz is the owner, and his son plays goalie for my son. So that ties things in a little bit. But I was in the pro shop today because my son had he opened up a second Eco Parts or Eco Team pro shop. He had the original one in Darien, and now he opened one up at Seven Bridges, and an even bigger one in Seven Bridges. And he moved almost all the goalie stuff, the goalie centric stuff, is moved from Darien because they had a little less room there. Moved it over to the Seven Bridges one, and they've got a great selection of goalie gear there. I was geeking out for the last 2 days when my son was out on the ice, geeking out all the stuff they had there. But they got like a full set of stuff in there and all the gear, and you can get stuff custom ordered there. But yeah, sorry to get off on a jag on goalie parts, but
no, man. But I tell you what, you go in there though, you even Darien, you go in there, and if you like myself have ADD, you lose your mind. You're done. It's like, because I don't have that here. We have nowhere to buy equipment, and when I come back home, it's like I want to go here, and here, and here. It's and just look. It's just like,
Oh, and the other cool thing, it's going to make you want to go to the new one in Seven Bridges is he has all the painted masks and wrapped masks that he's had done over the years for his sons, for him, or for just for the shop in general. He's got all of the painted masks in display cases. He's got some really cool ones in there. One of them is painted by my tattoo artist, Mike from Fig Sig Arts, Mike Figueroa, who painted Scott Darling's masks and painted Colin Delia's masks. He's got a mask from him in there. And then he's got some masks from some other places. Byronic Arts, I believe, is one of the places, but a lot of cool masks in there with some cool ideas and things like that. So if you want to go check out those cool ass masks, go check out the Goalie Parts Pro Shop over in Seven Bridges.
I mean, you would twist my arm for that one. I mean, like even Cody has been wearing the Eddie Belfour mask for a long time. And when he came over right now, he's wearing his all white one. I'm like, wait a minute. So I got to ask him where's it at? Where
I believe. Well, there is one of them in the case. There is a Eddie one in the case. Yeah,
I know he was wearing it with Pensacola, and he was wearing it last year with the Carolina Thunderbirds too. So, and it went with the red, white, and black their uniforms anyway, so it looked nice.
Yeah,
but I'm like, we're maroon, gold, and white and black, and that would look good. I don't care. You know what? We're helmet geeks. We like good paint jobs.
We're just equipment geeks in general. I mean,
we really are. We really are.
I'm a huge.
That's the problem being products of the '90s, man. We had the best masks in the '90s, the coolest designs.
Yeah, we did
by far.
We did. He's also got in there, and I noticed this. He's got a Dominic Hasek version, the helmet that he wore for the Blackhawks, with the Cooper helmet with the cage on it, the white cage on it. He's got one of those in the display case too. And I was like, oh, that just pulls at my heartstrings because I love Dominic Hasek so much. So he's got like an Eddie Belfour mask and a Dominic Hasek helmet in there. So this is really cool
in
stuff.
High school. I had the straight cage in high school. It was like, because they didn't have anything really yet. They didn't start.
I had the Mike Vernon, Chris Osgood HM30 cage. Yeah. And actually it's right here behind me.
Mine's over at my shop, my sandblasting shop right now. I got it. It's on my CCM. I had a Cooper. Yeah, it's on my CCM there too. Same one.
Yeah.
Have you worn it lately?
It's been a long time since I've worn it. The last time I wore it, I took a shot a little high, and it scared me. And I'm like, I'm putting my mask back on because I don't want to get hit in the throat. This thing doesn't have a dangler on it, so.
We used player helmets with a goalie cage on it. Like, yeah, that's how we play. That we did. What do we know, right? Until these professional. Okay, they're $400. Yeah, sure, I'll buy one of those. Yeah, I had crazy.
The one I had before this was just a red CCM helmet with an HM30 on it, and then I got this one, and then I finally moved to an actual mask like at about 99ish. I was late to the party on masks, so.
I'd be willing to wear one still. I'd be willing to wear one just because I can skate during before game days after practice and stuff like that. And I've been out and actually I wore my old Vons not too long ago. I went out there because I have no muscle memory with the new stuff. I really don't. And actually our owner Parker Moskell, he's a hell of a player anyway. He was laughing because he went to shoot and I was in my stance. He's like, I said, why are you laughing? He's like, I have no idea how to shoot on you. I was like, shoot, man. Yeah.
You think he's confused with you? Put me out there. I'm lefty.
Lefty and old school. Oh yeah. That would have been. Yeah. I mean, lefties confuse me anyway, but I'm sorry. Pure right. Is that what we're calling
full right
people?
Full right. It's called.
Excuse me. It sounds a little foo-foo and bougie to me, but hey, you know what? You guys all do you. And but we are really equipment geeks, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. Totally. And we totally got off on this total jack. I was not going to bring any of this stuff up, the goalie parts or anything. It just kind of flowed too good. But all right,
but that's how this stuff happens, you know?
We're going to have to reel it back in again. Yeah.
We're deep sea fishing today, buddy.
Yeah, we are. All right. Reeling it back in. We're not going to stay on too long, but we're almost at an hour, so we'll probably just go over an hour. We got a couple other things we could talk about. So the Four Nations thing finally happened. I got to say, like, when it was getting set up and everything like that, I could not care less about it. I really could not care less about it. I was not excited about it at all. I was like, this is a pain in the ass. It's in the middle of the season. You're like putting everything on hold. And is it really best on best? Because you don't have the Russians out there. You don't have everybody out there. You don't have the guy who's about to break the all-time goal scoring record. Alex Ovechkin is sitting at home. Like, you're missing players. So is it really best on best? That was my thoughts on that stuff. That being said, that USA Canada game was amazing. It was one of the best things that I've seen. And like the game itself was just okay. But the way it started, those 3 fights in the first like 15 seconds of the game, like you don't see that anymore. That is some slap shot shit. You don't see that.
I see
so
it,
it's like
you don't.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. I could probably go. Yeah, we might see stuff like that, like in the USHL or something like that. But like in the NHL, you're not seeing that. That's stuff you used to see, in the 80s. That was probably the last time we saw anything like that. So for that to happen was awesome. I loved it. And what were your thoughts on the Four Nations thing?
Yeah, and that was mine too, because I was like, what the hell is this? Like I said, I haven't been in tune, and I'm 100% all over hockey, but it's just I've been so torn away from doing my own stuff. It's like I haven't been able to focus as much. And if the Hawks aren't doing great, obviously I'm not interested till the playoffs start and going, I'm not missing a playoff game because the playoffs are great. That being said, this was badass. This was like, and the night of USA and Canada, we're gonna watch it anyway. We're watching that game. It doesn't matter because we already know we want the bragging rights.
Yeah.
But after the second fight, it was literally the Facebook was blowing up, my phone was blowing up. People are like, if you're not watching this game, what the hell are you doing with your life? And you need to reevaluate it, and you got to watch this. And then it was like that was it. You were hooked if you weren't before, and you're like, ooh, vested interest. And then when you're going to come to the finals, you bet you knew the tuning in portion of the show was going to be huge. So yeah, I liked it, and like you said too, it's a shame we couldn't have a couple more. I think they just went with the best. Okay, Sweden's got the most guys, U.S., Canada, blah blah blah. But yeah, if the Russians would have been in, and I mean, Czechoslovakia, I guess, would be the other one. You get the Slovakians in there or something. I guess that would be the other kind of get 6 teams in if you really could. But yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I would take that over the All-Star game because it reminded me of remember when they did the North America versus the World All-Star game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kind of similar in a way, but way better.
Yeah, it was because that was, and the reason they did that was to get McDavid and Matthews and all those guys in there who probably like Connor Bedard would not make, they weren't to that level yet. So they weren't going to make their teams, their country's roster. Canada's stacked. They always are. The United States, pretty stacked. Was Austin Matthews going to make it? Probably not. So to get those guys in, and that was kind of an ingenious way to do it, to add that extra team. I know it's a fake team, but the jerseys were so nice and the players were so good. Like it was
and
the perfect storm.
Hellebuck was hella
He's
good.
amazing. He's so amazing, that guy.
And Bennington, I don't know what the hell he was smoking that last game, but he was lights out. I mean, I hate to give him any kudos. I really do, because he's such a douche.
I am not a Bennington fan. I'm glad we share this.
I tip my hat to his play. I mean, guy was it kind of reminded me of I was just telling a story the other day about how we played all you guys with the with the floor hockey that time, and I had like 102 fever. It was the first time we played, and I played just unconscious. It's very similar. It's like the guy played like he had a fever, just out of his mind.
Yeah, I'm not a Bennington fan at all because I think his whole fake tough guy persona thing. It's like, if you're gonna punch somebody, but I don't want to see you. Oh, the refs hold me back. Oh, I'm gonna get you. Like, knock it off. Come on. Either you're gonna hit somebody or you're not gonna hit somebody. Don't act like a tough guy and then not be a tough guy. So that's my whole thing with that. It is very WWE-ish. Oh, Vince, hold me back so I can't get Vince,
Yeah.
Come on, man. Give me a break. And speaking of that, happy 316 day.
Yeah, man, happy.
What?
Yeah,
what?
I forgot about it. Yeah. What? But no, I thought it was great. I think it was great for the sport. It was good. It was great for our country too, because even more exposure. People were watching it.
Yeah.
And then they got to see Yeah, awesome goaltending. Through each team had great goaltenders. I mean, you got
Yeah.
world-class guys all
Yeah.
through there. So that would definitely tie that back together. So it was really fun to watch it.
Yeah. Very cool. I was so happy that it actually, I was happy to be wrong. Let's put it that way. I'm not usually very happy to be wrong about things, but I was happy to be wrong about not being excited, because that game immediately got me excited and got me into it. I had a bad feeling that the for lack of a better term, the US blew their wad in that in that first game. They came out too hot. They came out I get what they were trying to do, but they came out too hot and they kind of blew all their energy. Like, how do you top that? You can't top that. Like, if they were going to do something like that and they were thinking about doing it, I wish they would have waited till the final, to just come out in the final. And can you imagine a final where they start with 3 fights in the first 3 minutes, and on
Yeah.
a rematch of a game that already happened, like that would have been, that's the only way it could have been any better. The way it happened is if they would have done that in the final instead.
The only way
So,
they could have topped the 3 fights is if they would have come out and scored three quick goals like within the first 5 minutes. And
well,
you're
yeah,
like, holy
yeah,
crap, they're on fire. And then held that. But things happen. But yeah, overall,
it
I mean,
happens, man.
good job.
It happens.
Do
It
we
sucks,
now?
but
Do
it
we do we
happens.
think do we give Gary Bettman the kudos for that, or who
I
actually
don't
put
want to
that
give
on?
Gary Bettman kudos for anything.
I'd
I
like
am
to
not
give
a.
him something, but
I'm
it
not.
wouldn't be kudos.
I'm not a fan of Gary Bettman.
We should get cooties, but that's just me.
Yeah.
He sucks.
I'm gonna
I
have to
can't
bring
believe
the
he's been
sound
there
booth
that
down.
long.
Yeah.
he's,
Yeah, I
he's
know
just
he's the only
he's
commissioner.
sucks.
He's technically the only commissioner they've ever had, because that position was created for him. So he's gonna retire. Actually, that's where I thought John McDonough wanted to be before everything came
Mm,
out that happened with him. Is that
mm.
he never really wanted to hang around in Chicago. He wanted to use it as a stepping stone to be the commissioner, but he really royally screwed that one up. So,
Yeah,
and kind of good,
we
because I am
can't.
not a McDonough fan.
Yeah, that's over and done with. It's that ship is completely sailed and sunk.
Yeah, yeah. But that's enough of that.
Yeah, man.
Um, so, well, I think we can start getting close to wrapping it up. But I want to my reoccurring kind of more thing, and something I wanted to talk about a little bit more. And I brought it up in previous episodes about youth hockey in Chicago, or you just youth hockey in general. Um, for a long time, and I got to see it up close for the past 3 years, because my son being in youth hockey, I get to see a lot more of youth hockey and what doesn't happen, a lot of the politics and things like that. And I got to be honest, youth goaltending everywhere. I'm not just Chicago. It's probably less in other places than Chicago, that it lacked has lacked development, has lacked direction, has lacked a lot of things. And we want to support goalies. We want more goalies. We need more goalies out there. Everybody needs goalies. That's why goalies pay half price. Part of why goalies pay half price. In adult leagues, that's why goalies don't pay at all, because goalies are such a hot commodity. You want more goalies out there. We want more kids to try playing goalie. It's a thankless position. It takes a certain type of personality, almost a sadistic personality. But that all that being said, we want to grow it. Like, there are those people out there who are perfect goaltenders, and sometimes they don't play goalie because there's no development out there. They don't have any help. Then no one's to teach them when they're at the lower levels. So that I felt that all along. Um, I didn't know if there was a possibility that that could change quickly, and but I've seen a recent upturn, at least in this area, as far as like goaltending development has gone, and more specifically, where my son plays at the Hawks program. They had a goalie program, but being one of the largest youth hockey programs in the entire state of Illinois, or Midwest probably, they've got a ton of kids. But sometimes lacking goaltenders because they can't, they're not developing anybody. Unless a kid comes out and says, I want to play goalie, and pretty much teaches himself for the most part, you're not recruiting kids to play goalie. There's not a lot of that going on. Well, lo and behold, this year, they decided to make a big change, and they're bolstering their goaltending program and turning it into a whole division of the program. And they're changing everything around. And I'm proud that we're part of that. Like, if this was another program doing this, I would be talking about it just as much. It just so happens that it's the same program that where my son plays for. And a gentleman that I followed for years on Instagram, and we had corresponded back and forth a little bit. He's a local Chicago goaltender, Bob Zalabak. I think it's Zalabak Hockey on Instagram. But, he plays in the area, and he's played a lot. He's played some of the alumni games and things like that. Well, his son, I didn't know, I played in our program, and they brought him on as a goalie liaison to help try and build the program up and get some of the negativity out, because there was a lot of negativity as far as like, what are we teaching these goalies? They're attempting in a very short time to really revamp the entire program. And by doing that, they're bringing in a ton of talented instructors, two of which you're going to recognize the names very much. And I would not be surprised if Mr. Cody Karpinski comes back and helps out as well. But that being said, Bob's got a whole new group. They've got a whole new goaltending camps and all this stuff. It's really cool to watch it happen. The amount of coaches that were out there helping these goalies is just amazing. But the two that I want to bring up, and I just want to plug the organization a little bit, but two of their newest instructors are former Toronto Maple Leaf from Elmhurst, Illinois, Garrett Sparks. He's been helping some of the goalies individually, and now he's been helping the actual entire program. So that's that's a pretty good pedigree. He was a really good goaltender. And more importantly, the aforementioned Corey Crawford, whose son plays in the Hawks program. I'm not going to say what age. I'm not going to say what team. I'm not. That's not what I'm here for. Just to say that the goalies have some advocates out there that are going to, and some good advocates in this program. And Corey Crawford's going to be a little bit of help with that. So, thanks, Corey, for, coming on. We're really proud to have that going on. So that being said, I hope to see more goalies coming around. And even if they only do the goalie program and they play somewhere else, there's some promise. I hope other organizations in the area follow suit and do similar stuff as that goes. So that's an impressive thing. And it's something to look forward to in the Chicagoland area where, I know he keeps saying we're supposed to be more of a all encompassing podcast, but you and I are both from the Chicagoland area. I'm in Chicago. You visit Chicago and grew up in Chicago. So it's there's going to be a lot of Chicago talk here, but
yeah, I mean, Chicago's always been a hockey hotbed. I mean, it really has. I mean, you've got NHL players. You've got so many all the high schools have teams. I mean, you get travel programs, and there was a lot less travel programs when I was growing up. I mean, yeah, you had the Jaguars, which you didn't know too much about. The Express, you had those guys. You had the Chicago Hawks, Chicago Young Americans, St. Jude, Team Illinois. That was really your big cliques, And as far as goaltending schools, the only one I knew about back in our days, kind of growing up playing, was our boy Darren McCluskey, and with his school, and I've said stuff about all that, but that was a great camp. It really was. He really was he's a fantastic instructor. But it's just that was
he's
really
currently a coach and goaltending instructor with the Chicago Fury right down the street from my house.
Yeah, so Kevin Slanicki's son's playing for the Fury.
Okay.
He's also a defenseman. Go figure. So and chip off the old block, man. This kid's good. Kid's real good. Mm-hmm. It's so cool to see and keep tabs on you and your little guy, and it's great to see that next generation, and all the happy dads, because and we talked earlier off air about the vicariousness through your kids or whatever, and even as coaching, when I coached a little bit, it's like, you know what, you can't do that. It's up to the kids to play whether they want to or not. You're
Yeah.
there to support them. You're financially, morally, and feed and clothe your children. You never do that, because once you start doing that, 90% of the time the kid stops having fun, and you stop having fun, you don't want
Yeah.
to do something. So
Yeah.
we always used to tell the kids, and we still tell each other, not good luck, blah blah blah, go win, have fun. Because when you have fun, you don't
Yeah.
think about winning or losing. You're out there, you're playing your sport, and that's what it really comes down to. And you got to have good mentors, and like you said, the goaltending, getting a great goaltending education is going to be paramount.
Yeah, it is, because there's not enough of it around. I mean, there's goalie camps in the area, in goalie clinics in the area, and they're all. I've got nothing against any of them. There's just not enough of them. I think. Like, I don't think, but also I think that you need to be able to get instruction from the program you're playing in. If you want to have an additional skills coach on top of that, that's great. My son goes to power skating camp. Uh, I'm totally for that, but you can't, like, my whole idea is, like, you get too much of, they just throw the goalies out in practice and say stop the puck. And I watch practices, my son's practice, or I'll watch, I was watching 18U practice the other day, and I watched the goalie get pinged in the face, right under the mask from about 6 feet away with a hard shot, and it shook him up. You saw him shake it off. And was there a coach there to advocate for him, to be like, hey, hold on a second, like, let him shake it off? No, there wasn't. It was basically just the drill kept going, and the goalie's shaking his head, and he's trying to adjust his mask, and it's like he just got dinged in the face, with a really hard, heavy shot. They need more coaching, advocacy. They need, I have an idea, where, I wish that they could have like a goaltending advocate per se for these kids, that is kind of the go-between, that marries the private coach and the the organization coach. Because sometimes you get the private coach is teaching them one thing, and you get the organizational coach is teaching them another thing, and it's counterproductive when they're not on the same page. If you had an advocate between the two, where it could, or just put them in touch with each other, where it's like, hey, private coach, email the private coach. What are you teaching him? What are you trying to get out of him? What are we trying to expand on, so that when we're in practice, I can look out for that too. Not that I want to teach him, but just so I can reinforce what you're teaching him, because let's put all the egos aside. It's about the kids. It's about the goalie. It's about developing those kids. It's not about, who's the boss of the kid. When you get to that, like, everybody's lost their minds. It's about getting the kid developed and everybody being on the same page. Because if you're both teaching separate things, it's not going to work either way. And everybody needs to work together for the good of the kids, not to make money, not to have a bigger ego. It's for the kids. It's all about the kids, So that's my whole thing. Is that
you definitely hit that too? Because I mean, even in our league too. There's a couple teams I think that they did, if they do anymore, I don't know. They had goalie consultants or coaches on staff. We're not one of those, but technically you just got a guy out there stopping pucks. What are you really honing on your skill, other than, I'm stopping a 2-on-1, or they're doing this breakout, or whatever the case. You're not working on your angles. You're not working on your edges. You're not working on, covering that post all the way, or whatever you're supposed to be doing. You're not. You're just a placeholder, filling a void. Oh, we need somebody to shoot on. Just stop the puck, and you're not you're not moving forward. You're not getting your skill honed. You're not getting any more proper training. Your training is stopped.
Yeah.
And growing up too, that we didn't have a goalie coach. We had Oliver Green. I don't know if you ever remember him, but he came to he came to a bunch because when I played for Mopo, and he was actually the one that made me hold my stick different, and I've never changed it after that. He's like, "How are you holding your stick?" Because it was just slow and sloppy. Just those small mechanics made a whole big difference. And then you learned he actually taught angles and positioning and who to watch and what you should be doing. Other than that, you're just you're your shooter tutor, really.
And if anything, goaltending is it's set on your muscle memory, your habits, your routines. You're all in your head. You don't have somebody out there, when you're on the bench, you got a coach that could talk in your ear. You got a teammate that's talking in your ear, whatever. When you're out there, you're on an island. Like you have to be able to keep your routines. Like I have weird ticks and routines that I do when I play out there because that's how I remember to be in the right spot or be, have my stance a certain way or be lined up a particular way. I do weird stuff out there. All goalies do weird stuff. Like we have to have our routines. We have to, when we're starting to slack on our routines or we're starting to, some of our procedures or some of our slides or whatever are starting to get out of whack. You need a guy there to be like, hey, I noticed for the past couple of days that, you're pushing off from the wrong part of your skate or you're doing this or you're you're sliding out because you're not getting an edge or whatever. You don't have a guy out there reading it. You have to be your own coach in your head and you have to be the player to fix it too. And we need more help. Goalies need more help. They really do. They need the advocate out there for them to show them this stuff because they just, it's the forgotten position. They don't watch film on goalies. The players watch film on goalies. The goalies don't watch film. I mean, unless they're doing it on their own. Like there's not enough of that. I really wish, it's probably going to take time, but I would really hope that we could see more of that. People are going to say that we're prima donnas, but like you have to look at the nature of the position, and the nature of the position is you're out there on an island.
It's a serious issue. It really is. I mean, it's not just, hey, look at us. We're out there. No, it's a serious position. It's very unforgiving. Just our game this weekend, there was I think there might have been 4 2-on-0s because,
yeah.
And when
and then the coach is giving you stink eye from the bench after you give up like three out of the 4 of those.
Yeah. I mean, just an example, but I mean, yeah, it's a very difficult position. It's very unforgiving. It's high stress. It's probably the most difficult position in all of sports, and you need proper tutelage. I mean, I don't know. I've done this more often than not. Maybe I'm not getting as much action in my zone. And I'm watching the other goaltender, and I'm starting to pick up his habits. And I'm like, next thing I know, I'm doing some of the same crap he's doing just because my brain is wired goofy. And I'm like, why the hell did I just try to make a save like that? I don't play like that. And it's behind you. It's just those have happened in more games more often than not. But these kids, if they're taught and they've got proper tutelage, and it's a continual, consistent thing, that's what they need. Otherwise, they're not going to develop properly at all.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's not. These aren't problems that are going to be fixed overnight, unfortunately.
No.
But I think if we have people that care enough, like Bob Zalabak, that care about the program and care about the goalies, and is willing to put like all the ego aside and all that stuff, like that's promising. I hope every program gets a person like that wants to advocate for goalies because there's so many young goalies out there that I'm friends with, that I've taught or have played with my kid, and sometimes the only person advocating them is themselves. Advocating for them is themselves, and that's unfortunate. Like you shouldn't have to learn that as a kid. But
I think
it's
you
a
still
hard
got a little
lesson.
bit in the tank, and I think you could probably add a little bit on the teaching end as well. I think if given a push, and I'm sure you
Yeah,
already do. I'm sure you try,
yeah,
because you're accessible, and it's like I'm already here. I'll
mhm,
give a pointer or two.
yeah,
But no,
yeah.
it's a great
I'm
start.
always and like I've never been out there to be like, hey, I'm the best goalie coach or whatever. I just want to. If I see something, I have to say something about it. If I see
Hmm.
something happening that's wrong, or that a kid that needs help or something, like I'm complicit if I don't go, if I have an answer for them, or if I have a suggestion that might be able to help them. Like I'm not out there to get a pat on the back. I don't want the pat on the back. I just want the kid to get better because I want that kid to be better than I was. He probably already is, honestly, but uh
Right, yeah.
I I was never any good, I don't think, but like I want the kid to be better than me. It better have a better experience because I love hockey so much. I never get tired of it. I love being a goalie. I love the whole thing. I never get tired of it. Like I want these kids to feel the same way about the sport. It's a niche sport and it needs to grow. And for it to grow, you have to have kids loving it, especially the goalies. So anyway,
Yeah.
I'm rambling.
It's no, but you're right. I mean, and these are things too that go unsaid. I don't think a lot of people understand. What really all the logistics that go into the position and the training and everything. That just it's not always there and it's not always accessible. And for them to finally kind of really realize and make something established and get a foundation started, 100% in the right direction. I mean,
Yeah.
it's great refreshing. I wish I still got well. I won't say I wish I still lived in the area, but if I did, I'd like to be a part of something like that as well. Either advocating or talking or whatever the case. Just allow yourself to be accessible. Is
Yeah.
really what it is. To help educate in any way you can. Yeah,
Yeah.
I wasn't the best goaltender, and I wasn't the worst goaltender either, man. I was either really good or really awful. It really depended on what it was,
I
what I
always
ate,
thought
how
you
I
were
felt.
better than me. So
Well, I had my days, and
yeah.
apparently lately my glove hand isn't as fast as it used to be. I think because I'm knocking on 50's door here, and less than a month, a tax day to be exact. So,
I'm already
um,
past that.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
you look younger than I do. It's just I'm man, I don't understand all
thank you.
this gray on my face. I'm just worn, bro. I'm just like it's like you would think all the humidity, and this is kind of crazy. So I it's really freaking humid down here normally. We're at 12% humidity right now because those crazy storms that whipped through here yesterday
Hmm. Hmm.
with I think they said there was 280 tornado warnings total in that whole um, dealio. It just
Hmm.
sucked the dry air right in here. But man, I tell you that the pollen's crazy. The eyes are jacked up. My nose is goofy. It looks like I've been doing something I shouldn't be. But it's
It sounds like Chicago.
yeah. Well, you guys had what snow
Well,
today, right?
Chicago probably in like June, but
Well,
not
you had snow
Chicago in
today, and
May,
you're supposed to have
March.
like you're supposed to be like 80 in a week, right? It's just you don't like the
It
weather.
was
You're
80
worried
on
about a
Friday
day.
here. It was
It
80 on
doesn't make
Friday
any
here.
damn sense.
Today it snowed.
Yeah, and nothing. And my mom's like, "Yeah, it's snowing. It's not sticking, but it's snowing." I'm like, "No, thank you.
Yesterday it
You
was
know,
60
I,
at Chicago. You don't like the weather?
yeah.
Wait 5 minutes.
Well, just like baseball season. You go to opening day and then you don't go back till like June because then it's at least going to be in the early,
Yeah.
upper 70s, low 80s. But crazy. Don't miss it. Miss you though, but don't miss it.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear you, man. All right, let's wrap this shit up. Let's wrap
Wrap it
this
up,
up so
reel
we
it
can
out.
get. Remember, I am going to tell my story, my Corey Crawford ish
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
I will tell that next podcast. And I think with your schedule winding down and my schedule winding down, I think we might be able to do this a little more often. Uh, I think it'd be easier actually for us to do it in the off season, based on our seasons, your season, my kid's season, and all that stuff. So I think maybe we could really get a little more involved as far as the off season goes with talking goalies out here. So
Yeah, and I'm going to work on
um,
getting a couple of our pros on. I
yeah,
got guys that are so willing. Cody is actually one of them. he's definitely. He's like, yeah, whenever you want, just let me know. And like I said, I'll see him this weekend. And my other guy I had on last week, Greg Hussey. Greg's great. Greg's a Massachusetts guy. And it's funny because our episode we had, I said, dude, you should be full masshole, and I'll go south side, and we'll just have the accents going. He's like, okay, buddy, let's do it, and it was hilarious. So I think it was good. I was shaky, like I said, at best, but yeah, I think I could pull some stuff out, and I think we do some nice stuff in the off season.
Yeah,
for sure.
Cool, awesome.
Busy
well,
boys.
I want before I get to my final read here, plug your podcast and all that again, so that I know you're just taking a drink here, but plug your podcast and all that stuff again, so everyone else can add you.
Yeah, so my podcast, my personal podcast, is Inside the Blue Paint. You can find it on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook. Where else am I? That's probably it for now. And then our team one for the Monroe Moccasins of the FPHL. It's Inside the Snake Pit, but you can also find us on YouTube and Facebook at Monroe Moccasins Hockey, or just go to YouTube and say Monroe Moccasins, and you'll find us. And you can even check in, older broadcasts and see what we do on the air and how much fun we have. And man, we just do some really cutting edge, goofy stuff. But yeah, those are what I'm involved in, and maybe more here on out. But that's it for now. That's what I got.
Cool.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. And my stuff, I haven't been really writing much this year because, again, I've been pretty busy. But the-rink.com, this is the video versions and the audio versions are gonna be in a post on our website, and they'll be on all the podcatchers as well. But my staff, Andy Campbell, Sean Fitzgerald, Jimmy O'Malley, they do the Chicago Rinkcast all about the Blackhawks. Jimmy's been at several of the Ice Hogs games, hanging out there, scouting out the Ice Hogs. So they've got a lot of good insight on what's going on this season. Really proud of my staff there. So, go over to there, read the articles. They recap every game, and then we have analysis pieces as well. And then we have also the podcast, which I think they just did, the 22nd episode for this season. So they've really been pumping them out. Really great job with Andy and Bardo and Jimmy and Sean and Andy. Eric's on there sometimes. And so every once in a while I get on there, but like I said, I don't want to be peeing the punch bowl. They've got such good chemistry and they've been doing such a good job that there's no reason for me to be there. I don't add anything to it. So check that stuff out. I guess we're going to wrap it here. So thanks to all of you for listening and watching online on YouTube or on Facebook. The audio version will be on all the podcast apps. This is the Net Perspective. I am Jeff Osborne, aka Puck and Hostel and Gatekeeper. Over here we have Pete Fricano from the Monroe Moccasins, the play-by-play analyst. You're the analyst, right?
I'm the color commentator. I'm
right.
Not the colored commentator. The color commentator. Yeah. Analyst. Okay. Whatever you want to call me.
The off-color commentator.
Very off. Very, very much off. Yeah.
Yeah. Check it. You'll see our stuff on Facebook and on YouTube as well. So until next episode, get in net.